Welcome back to They Did What? Your source in its craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, I'm considering divorcing my wife because she can't get over her mom dying. And a shout out to Joseph for sending me this story. And guys, in spite of how the title sounds, it sounds pretty awful, this is about a guy, a husband and father, who's now kicking his wife to the curb after not just because of how her actions have been since her mom died, but also because she's cheating on him. You're going to see that in this story. This guy, his wife's mom died when she was like 27, 28 years old, really messed her up, understandable, and she's pretty much have shut down mostly for the last 5 years. For 5 years, half the year, she's in the room staring at the wall, depressed, crying and all that, refuses to get any help, all that, and is just wearing this guy down because he can't do everything. He's tried and tried and tried. And when finally he reaches a point that he's had enough in the most loving manner, let's just say her behavior is not exactly very reciprocating of the love, and he finds out she's cheating. And now he's kicking her to the curb. And I've been going to go over here, guys, to show you that there's a point in life that the whole marriage thing with the vows of in sickness and health, I'm all for that. But there's a point when somebody you're trying to help is going through, whether it be particularly not in, say, physical sickness, because, of course, you can be with them then, but mental sickness, when they're severe depression or mental issues is causing them to turn into a total wacko, or they can't be there for you in the way that you need and the kids. There's a point you got to then say, enough's enough. I've done everything I could. They're not willing to help themselves. I got to take care of me and the kids. And you have a right to then confront them about that and then have your exit strategy. There's a point, enough's enough, because life is too short. And this guy spends years, and the thanks he gets is, well, you're about to see. But anyhow, this guy here, who definitely at times you're going to want to slap, definitely in the end realizes it's time to handle things accordingly, as any of you should. God forbid you get in a situation like this. So it starts off saying, yeah, I know, everyone is fired up at the title and ready to tell me what an a-hole I am. To those people, I implore you to read the rest of this post before making a judgment. This is Reddit, amigo. People are going to make judgments real quick. My wife, a 33-year-old female, her mother passed away 5 years ago from lung cancer. It was not a peaceful or easy death. Our lives understandably went on pause after the diagnosis, and we both spent a lot of time off work helping care of her mom. Well, that's terrible. Her mom obviously died young, and this happened when the wife was 28 years old. That's tough, but not a reason to stop your whole life. My wife had a pretty typical showing of grief at the time, cycling through different stages, same with our 3 kids. After she passed away, my wife got really bad. I totally understand this. I can't say I know exactly what she went through because I haven't had a parent die. But I understand how devastated she was. For months after, she could barely function. I gently took over pretty much all the responsibilities in the household with the kids. She had been attending grief counseling since the diagnosis and continued after the death. Again, I'm sure all of us are watching this have lost someone in our lives that we cared about, and it is really hard. And you go through your stages of grief. And obviously, the younger you are when you lose a parent, the tougher it is, obviously, because, the parents are younger and all that. And so, as opposed to being older and you're seeing them wither down. But it's hard. But it doesn't mean you shut down your life and bring down everybody else around you. None of this is the problem. I endeavored to be as supportive as possible. She cried on my shoulder every night for months, and I just thought this was the worst, or for better or worse. So this is a good husband. The problem is that after 5 years, she does not seem any better or more functional. 5 years? No. She obviously needs severe help. Therapy, counseling, maybe medication, happy pills, if you will, if that's the case, the extreme case. But 5 years, you can't be, staring at the wall crying all the time. You got responsibilities. She stopped grief counseling about 4 years ago and refused to go again, stating it would not help her and that nothing could. Well, she's got to do something. About a month before any major holiday, she would have a major downturn. In bed half the day, crying all day, does not want to interact with the family, does not have the energy to do anything around the house. This will go on every single day until about a week after the holiday ends. Every holiday is intense grief, just as much now as it was 5 years ago. Are we talking Christmas and Easter, or are we talking about President's Day and fucking Memorial Day and Juneteenth? Are we talking every holiday? Are we talking about state holidays or federal holidays or religious holidays? I'm being a sarcastic wise ass here, but you get my point. She needs help. Uh, October, November, December, and January, her mom's birthday months, every year are particularly bad. I'm essentially without my wife, and I'm a single parent to my 3 kids without her. Altogether, she is completely incapacitated by grief for about 6 months out of the year and has been that way for the past 5 years. No, she needs, I understand her grief, but she needs to get her shit together and be there for this guy and the kids. If not, there's a point of trying so much that it's time to lay down the law. This is 5 years of this shit. This is ridiculous. If she's not willing to get help, this guy has to take action. When I say incapacitated, I mean incapacitated. When she's in the depths of her grief, she's completely incapable of intimacy with me or the kids. You mean not being able to be there for the kids, not intimacy with the kids. There's no cuddling, spending time with us, going on family outings. I don't have SCX for half the year. I stopped asking her if she wants to talk about it because she can't get the words out between sobs as she cries. And yet she's about to do what you all know she's going to do. What hurts the most is the kids have stopped asking or being concerned. If they see their mom in bed when they get home, they just go about their day and might casually mention, "Oh, mom is sad today." If their siblings or I ask where she is, they don't really seek affection with her anymore because they rarely get anything more than tears. See, the kids are adapting to their environment. They're not going to let her drag them down. They're like, "Well, mom's sad today," you know? They're all adapting. I've discussed this with therapists, my parents, friends, etc., and I know all the rebuttals people have for this, so let me preempt them. He says she is unwilling to go back to therapy, for grief counseling, or to see a doctor for depression. Yes, I know she's severely depressed. I can't force her to go to a doctor. I've tried so much. He says, yes, it really is just as intense as it was 5 years ago. No, I never tell her to get over it or blow her off. On my worst days, I just give her space and let her be. Most days, I try to offer her some comfort. If you want to judge me for leaving her alone, whatever, but know this, I feel like I essentially I'm a caretaker fatigue at this point. He also says, no, she does not have a history of depression, but she does have ADHD. Don't know if that is relevant. Okay, so after all this guy is going above and beyond the call of duty for her. But there's a point where if it's wearing down in his life and the kid's life, he has to start taking care of himself and the kids. And I even think even the most wackos out there would understand that. Well, no, I take that back. This is Reddit. There are a lot of fucking wackos that wouldn't get that. I feel like my wife passed away when her mom passed. I would do anything to get her back, even a small piece of her, but she doesn't seem willing or able to move past her mom's death. I feel awful for considering a divorce, but I don't know what else to do. Now we're going to get on to other parts where he doesn't have to feel bad about considering divorce. The way I see it, guys, if you've tried everything and this is impacting your life and your kids and she's unwilling to get help, then you have a right to move on. If he did this in the first 6 months, then I would have some words about him. But for 5 fucking years, no. Especially knowing what I know. Part 2. He says, I posted a few days ago, and you can check my profile for that post. I just kind of threw that post together as a stream of conscious events on my break at work. I didn't go back and look at it until later today, but I assumed it would be buried since I never had anything I posted to get any major attention. And honestly, I thought I was going to get eviscerated in the comments for being insensitive or uncaring. Well, I was floored by the number of responses and really kind DMs I got and felt a little overwhelmed at the idea of responding to them all, so I figured I won't post an update here. Or I would post an update here. He says, a few people mentioned I should have her involuntarily admitted to a medical facility. I didn't mention in the original post, but I did ask our family doctor about that maybe a year ago, and he told me that unless she's a threat to herself or others, it is unlikely to happen. I looked this up myself as well, and that appears to be true for the state that we live in. Yeah, I figured that would be, if she's not a threat to herself or anybody else, then, tough shit. I do agree that she needs medical treatment. I suspect that during her year of grief counseling after her mom's death, that she was not honest with her counselor. Probably. And by the way, does she have any siblings? Is her dad in the picture? Any other family on her side that can help with her? I have a distinctly sad memory of her coming home after one of her last sessions and telling me that her counselor said she probably won't need to go much longer, that she went and laid down in bed and cried. I haven't been able to convince her to go back to counseling. However, I'm glad I posted on Reddit because somehow I hadn't really considered that she might need more intensive treatment than just counseling. I don't know. I actually think she needs a major kick in the ass. At this point, the they're-thering her is not working. So she needs a tough kick in the ass. Really. I also saw one comment that scared the hell out of me, that she may do something drastic if I give her a divorce ultimatum. With those things in mind, I don't think doing that is the way to go. Instead, I'm planning to write her a letter explaining how we need her back, that we love her and care for her deeply, but she needs more help than we can provide alone. And tell her that she needs to go to a doctor and be honest about what she's been going through. Thank you, advice, everyone. Now, before I go to part 3, sounds like he wants to do a letter intervention. A letter from him and the kids and all that, maybe. I think the last resort before divorcing her, before I get into what I know happens, would be like an intervention. Maybe like the family members and her getting together. Of course, that's going to piss her off, because whenever there's interventions and you walk home and come into the living room and see like half your family there and saying, "We care," that pisses people off. But that would be the final step before I'd be like, that's it. And I've been trying for years. You're not willing to make any changes. It's over. I wish you all the best. I'm being very blunt here, but you get my point. Now part 3 says here, my soon-to-be ex-wife has completely lost her effing mind. Well, you're about to see how. After my last post, I spent a couple of days writing the letter to her. In it, I explained that the kids and I love her dearly and that we're concerned for her. I outlined all the worrying behavior and told her that I believe she needs to take additional medical care. One of these cars drove by where when they drive by, the muffler sounds like firecrackers going off. I'm sure maybe you heard that. I hate that. Drives me crazy. I wish that was banned. Anyhow, I outlined all the worrying behavior and told her that I believe she needs to seek additional medical care. I explained that it sounded like she had complex grief, and the grief therapy she went to for years was insufficient to help her get through it. I did not say anything about potentially divorcing her, but did say that the kids cannot continue to live in a current situation. It was a long letter, and I don't really feel like transcribing it here. I read the letter to her last night, or the same night. I finished writing it after the kids had gone to bed. After I finished reading, she just stared right through me, like the 1,000-yard stare, for probably 15 minutes, then finally stood up and started walking to the door. So she's just staring at him like that. 15 minutes is a long time, somebody giving you the evil eye. I panicked and I tried to stop her. Asked her where she was going. Can we talk about this? I'm concerned for your safety. She then rolled her eyes at me. After all this, she has the freaking nerve to roll her eyes at this guy and said to me in the coldest voice I've ever heard her use, "I hope when your parents die, someone doesn't tell you to get over it." After that, I didn't try to stop her. I just let her go. Okay, she's an asshole. Divorce her. Fuck her. This guy has been bending over backwards for years. 6 months of the year, he says she's like this. No SEX, nothing like that. Not helping with the kids, none of that. And she's overreacting this way. This is not the girl he married. Or actually, this is who she is. And she was just buried down deep to have this event trigger that person. No, fuck her. But we're not done yet. I was pissed off for maybe 5 minutes before the panic set back in. I'd be pissed off longer than 5 minutes. I legitimately thought she was going to end herself. Maybe that will bring her peace. Some people just, seriously. I checked my phone and she had turned her location off. I called and texted probably 50 times over the next hour, begging her at least to let me know she was okay and she was going to do something drastic. Smack! Never beg. Call the cops. End of story. You're worried about her doing something to herself or somebody else. Right before I was about to call the cops, I got a call from her phone. I answered immediately, and before I could get much of anything out, a man's voice told me, "She's fine, but doesn't want to talk to you," and hung up. A man's voice? Unless she went like in Ghostbusters when like Sigourney Weaver started talking like Zool. Y'all know what I'm talking about, those of you saw Ghostbusters. Then, what the fuck, who's this guy? So she can't, for 6 months of the year, she's crying and she can't sleep with him and all that, but now she has room for a guy in her life? This is the thanks this guy gets for everything he's done for her? Screw her. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience at the time. I had no idea what the F was going on here. I almost called the cops anyway, but I was disassociated hard and talked myself out of it. I kept calling the cops all night, but no one picked up again. Okay, I kept calling her phone all night, no one picked up. After about 2 in the morning, it started going straight to voicemail. I barely slept that night. Call the cops. Regardless, doesn't make a difference. You're worried about her. Something's going on. Woke up that morning. She wasn't home. I took the kids to school and daycare, as I normally do this. I tried calling my wife's phone all morning, but still voicemail. I called her office and asked if she was at work, and they told me she had called in sick. Yeah, sick my butt. We know what she's doing. I called in sick as well and basically sat on the couch trying to get a hold of her while being a nervous wreck. I called my mom as well and asked if she could pick up the kids from school today and watch them overnight. I didn't tell her everything that was going on just yet, just that something had come up and was urgent and I needed some help. Yeah, good idea. My wife walked in the door sometime after 4 p.m. All that time, gone, not even responding to the freaking messages. Goodbye. It's over. I tried to hug her. Smack. What do you mean you tried to hug her, dude? Some dude answered the phone telling you to basically F off. And she shied away from me. She was probably disgusted with him. I asked her where she'd been, and no response, just a blank stare. I was like, bitch, you're going to tell me exactly where you were. You can pack your bags and get the fuck out. I don't care if your mom died. At that point, I'd be so pissed off, I would be twisting that knife. I asked her who had called me from her phone, and no response, a blank stare. At this point, I was frustrated and told her that if she didn't want to explain what was going on, she can get the fuck out. Thank you. Finally, you're growing a pair. This is totally warranted. Dude, she obviously wants to sabotage everything. She's let the death of her mom impact her so bad that she just wants to basically burn everything down. The hell with her. I regret saying that way, but holy shit, was I frustrated. Smack! Don't regret saying that. Stop being a nice guy. So she started talking, but I was talking to text-to-speech AI in her voice. No emotion, totally flat, almost annoyed. She told me she'd gone to her friend John's house, and I had no idea who the fuck John was and asked her to explain further. No, you're not going to go to John's house. You're going to stay and work things out with your family, bitch. Over an hour or two of conversation where I had to pry details out of her, I got most of the story. You didn't get the full story. She was answering like a lawyer. Very basic answers, no details or context outside of exactly what I was asking her. She says basically John is a coworker. I met the dude once or twice at office party type events, but never really talked to him. I never saw him hanging out with my wife or showing an interest in her. But apparently over the last year or so, she's been spilling all her feelings about her grief over her mom's death to him, and he's been comforting to her. Yeah, I'm sure he's been very comforting to her. No guy's going to sit and listen to all that crap unless he's getting something out of it. Or he's very certain he's going to get something out of it. He had a parent die from cancer too, so I guess she felt that they had a connection that she didn't have with me. Oh, and now with her connection, now she's got to sleep with him. After I read her the letter, she says she realized that I don't care about her mom or her mom's death, and she went to John's house to be comforted. Are you kidding me? After 5 years of him taking care of everything, that she's saying that he doesn't care? See, now she's gaslighting. It's your fault that I had to go to John's house. I thought I asked her if she was having an affair with him, and she told me no. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I asked her why she never mentioned she was close friends with this unknown guy, and she told me it was none of my business. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I'm your husband. I'm the first guy in your life and only guy. It is my business. I asked her if anything had happened between them while she was there, and she says they cuddled, and he held her while she cried. Is that what plowing her from behind is these days? Modern day cuddling? I asked to see her phone to check messages between them, and she refused. I ripped that right out of her hand. I couldn't get much more detail to her about the whole situation, so when she went to take a shower, I tried to check her phone. She changed her password. Gee, I wonder why. I grabbed her iPad and still had my thumbprint biometric signature in it, and checked it there. I left the house with the iPad to look for evidence while she was in the shower. I did not immediately see any messages to her from John, but after digging briefly, I found it. She had put him in the Stacy as her contacts, but it was obviously him. There were texts going back and forth for well over a year. No surprise there. A lot of her talking about her mom, a lot of him comforting her. A lot of him telling her I don't really care about her and that he would never treat her the way that if they were married. Holy crap. Of course this guy's putting things in her head to have doubt and say that your husband's a bad guy because this guy wants to bang her. But this guy telling the story's got bent over backwards for her. All her replies were in agreement. A lot of texts from her complaining about me, a lot of him trash-talking me. It's over. Goodbye. The night she left, she had texted him, fuck it, I'm on my way over to the office, and the offer is still there, followed by an immediate yes reply. Then the next morning, a text from her saying to him, if he asks, we just talked. I threw up out of my car in a Walmart parking lot for 20 minutes. Yeah, I can see how this guy would barf and Well, don't worry about barfing in the Walmart parking lot. I'm sure there's plenty of throw up in the Walmart parking lot, seeing as a lot who the people are that go to Walmart. Not all, but a lot. I came home and found her on the couch on her phone, seeming unconcerned or unaware that I'd even left, because she doesn't give a shit. I told her that I knew, and she needed to leave again. Again, she just stared at me for a while, not responding, until I got aggravated and told her to get the fuck out of the house. Yeah, man. She immediately got up and told me John was right about you and left. Oh, you're the bad guy, huh? I haven't seen her since. I told the kids she went to visit her parents. I don't know what to tell them, but I have to tell them something soon. I don't even really know what to do. I need to divorce her, but going through the custody child support is dizzying. Hey, you know what? She's been proven for years now to obviously have a lot of problems and not being capable of raising those kids. Her 6 months of depression every year, blocking herself in the freaking room and all that. I'm sure the doctor, there's doctor-patient confidentiality, but I'm sure there's something that can be done to prove that she's unfit to raise the kids. I feel paralyzed. I haven't made a move yet. I know she's lost her mind. This is probably some kind of psychotic breakdown, but I just don't care anymore. You shouldn't. Or he says I can't care anymore. I put on a brave, numb face to go to work, then for my kids at night, and then cry afterwards when they go to bed until I fall asleep. I feel like my life is essentially over. I do feel like John took advantage of her vulnerability, but I don't even want to bother trying to get her to see that he's a predator. She chose this over her effing family that has stuck with her. I don't think I'll be posting more updates or logging into this account anymore. So that was the brief ending of this whole situation. And the way I see it, this guy, he obviously is a good guy. He's been doing the sickness and health thing as a husband. And look at the things he gets. She is just trying to just burn down everything around her. That's what's going on, you know? And then try and make it worse. She's cheating on him and making him out to be the bad guy here. Is the guy a bit emotional? Yeah, but then again, it's been hard. Very hard. But 5 years of this crap, no freaking way. I can see 1 year really trying, but after that, that's when some tough love has to come in the picture. This guy needs to go, he needs to get his mom and the family involved to help, let them know what's going on here, and go to a lawyer, find out his options, and go scorched earth. The gal that he married, who he loved, is not there anymore, if she ever was. I think this is who she was. Again, death is a hard thing. Losing a loved one, that's hard. I've lost loved ones, but you know what? I do look at the world differently. I'll admit that. I don't have attachment issues because I'm smart enough not to do that. And maybe I'm cold-hearted, but I'd rather be cold-hearted and smart than be, warm-hearted and have attachment issues and break down when things don't. Yeah, you get my point, guys. You got to be practical about life. There's nothing permanent in life. People are going to come and go. People are going to die. It is what it is. But you can't let it ruin you, especially when you have a family that loves you. She's a mom, for God's sakes, of 3 kids. And, they've had their mom for all these years. You have to be strong. You have to get up and live life. And I get people with depression. Depression runs in my family. I can understand how incapacitating it is. But you got to get help. You can't let it wear you down. And by the way, it's like 6 months on, 6 months off depression thing. That's fucked up. But anyhow, then the fact she's going and cheating on him and making him to be the bad guy, no, it's over. So there you go, guys. That'd be an entertaining one to go over here, but absolutely, this guy, it is over with. And I think it's an example when you can be too kind, too accommodating. Look what can happen there. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, you find a good story, definitely send it my way. strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.